The Las Vegas Strip is home to over 37 hotels, offering a staggering total of around 85,000 hotel rooms. That makes it one of the largest and most concentrated hospitality markets in the entire United States, and honestly, one of the most iconic. With everything from luxury high-rise resorts to themed casinos that transport you to ancient Egypt or modern Italy, there's no shortage of places to stay, and each one offers its own unique experience. So when we started planning a trip to Las Vegas, we knew we didn't want to just pick one hotel and call it a day. Instead, we came up with a different kind of idea. What if we stayed at 4 different hotels in 4 nights? That way we could get a taste of the variety that makes Vegas so special. From luxurious mega resorts to retro classic and anything in between, we wanted to sample as much of the Strip as we could. It was a bit of a challenge, sure, hauling our luggage around every morning, but it was also a chance to see Vegas from multiple angles, one check-in at a time. We are Hannah and Jeremy, and this is the Savory Suitcase. We are a travel couple based in Florida and on a mission to see all 50 states. We booked our trip to Las Vegas for July of 2025, and Nevada became our state number 37 on our list. You might wonder why 2 people who claim to be smart and responsible travelers would choose to visit the Mojave Desert in July, but one of these 2 peoples was a teenager in the 1990s and decided they wanted to see the Backstreet Boys live at the Sphere. We will share more about the show a little later in our video. Long before the bright lights and massive resorts, the Las Vegas Strip was nothing more than a dusty stretch of desert highway. In the early 1900s, the area that would become the Strip was just a remote part of Nevada with a few scattered buildings. But things began to change in the 1930s when the nearby construction of the Hoover Dam brought in thousands of workers and the promise of steady tourism, as it was one of the most ambitious engineering projects in U.S. history. People from across the country were fascinated by it and traveled to see the dam being built. It became kind of an early 20th century attraction for those interested in innovation, progress, and sheer scale. In 1941, the first casino resort on the Strip, the El Rancho Vegas, opened its doors, offering gambling, entertainment, and air-conditioned rooms. This marked the beginning of a new kind of destination, a self-contained resort in the middle of the desert. Over the next few decades, Las Vegas evolved into the glittering oasis of themed resorts, neon lights, and round-the-clock action. The 1950s and 60s saw the rise of legendary hotels like the Sahara, the Sands, and the Flamingo, many with ties to organized crime and old Hollywood glamour. In the 1990s and early 2000s, the city shifted again, ushering in the era of mega resorts like the Bellagio, the MGM Grand, and the Venetian, each trying to outdo the other with over-the-top themes and luxury experiences. Today, the Las Vegas Strip is one of the most iconic stretches of road, home to dozens of major hotels and some of the most extravagant accommodations anywhere on the planet. So for our 4-night stay in Las Vegas, we chose the following hotels: the Bellagio, the Luxor, the Flamingo, and the Venetian, giving us a good mix of luxury, themed, historic, and modern resort experiences. The Bellagio is iconic for its elegance and those famous dancing fountains, representing the high-end classic Vegas experience. The Luxor, with its unmistakable pyramid and ancient Egyptian theme, is one of the most recognizable buildings on the Strip. The Flamingo is a true Vegas original, opened in 1946. It's one of the oldest resorts still standing and carries a deep connection to the city's mobster roots. And finally, the Venetian immerses you in a world of canals, gondolas, and Italian architecture, offering a luxurious, immersive atmosphere that blends theme with upscale comfort. Altogether, this 4-hotel lineup gave us a well-rounded look at the different sides of Las Vegas, all within one whirlwind trip. In order for this plan to work, we did end up using a combination of luggage storage services and early check-ins at a couple of different resorts. And let me assure you, Las Vegas is a well-oiled machine. They have check-in, check-out, bellmen, and valets all available at seemingly a moment's notice. We also never waited more than a few minutes for an Uber or a taxi, so if you're ever going to try something as crazy as staying in 4 hotels in 4 nights, Las Vegas is the place to do it. With each of these hotels being so different, we aren't necessarily going to be ranking them because it would be a little bit like comparing a meal at a Chili's to a meal at Ruth Chris. They are not meant to be the same. Different price points, different expectations of quality, it's just different. But we are going to cover the history, the amenities, and food available, take a look at the rooms themselves, and share the price we paid for each room. With that said, we will be sharing whether each hotel met the expectations it set for itself. If you're booking a luxury resort, you expect a certain level of polish and service. If you're booking a budget-friendly hotel, you still expect it to be clean, comfortable, and functional. And just a note for anyone looking for a review of the pools, we did not visit any of the resort pools, so we will not be covering those as part of our video. The first hotel we stayed at was the Bellagio. The Bellagio opened its doors in 1998 and quickly set a new standard for luxury on the Vegas Strip. It was inspired by the elegance of the Italian town of the same name, located on the shores of Lake Como. At the time of its opening, it was the most expensive hotel ever built, costing around $1.6 billion. What really set the Bellagio apart wasn't just its upscale atmosphere, but its attention to art, architecture, and experience. The resort is famous for its iconic fountains, which perform choreographed water shows set to music in front of the hotel. Inside, you'll also find the Dale Chihuly massive glass sculpture in the lobby ceiling, a fine art gallery, and an indoor botanical garden, the contemporary that changes with the seasons. The Bellagio helped usher in a new era of high-end mega resorts on the Strip, proving that Las Vegas could be both glamorous and sophisticated, and it remains a symbol of luxury to this day. We showed up here bright and early around 8 a.m. coming straight from the airport. We checked in at the desk and got signed up to be notified when our room was ready. We booked a standard king room, but because the Bellagio is associated with Marriott, we got the benefits of our loyalty status here, and we were given early check-in and an upgraded room. While waiting for our room, we enjoyed brunch at Sadelle's, sitting just next to the conservatory. They are known for their eggs Benedict, sticky buns, and chopped salads. I ordered a pink flamingo cocktail, even though it was only like 9 a.m., and Jeremy got a mimosa. We also got the cheese blintzes and a Vegas omelet to share. The food was delicious, and the atmosphere was sophisticated. We did not end up having dinner at the Bellagio because this was the night that we had reservations at Caesars for Hell's Kitchen, but we did still stop by the Cafe Gelato and got an afternoon snack. Once our room was ready, we picked up our key from the automated kiosk and we made our way across the casino floor and over to the guest elevators and up to our room. We were on the 20th floor with amazing views of the fountain. The room itself has a refined, timeless design. We had a plush king-size bed with crisp white linens and padded headboard and tasteful accents in warm neutrals, blues, and golds that echo the resort's upscale Italian inspiration. The room also includes a couch and chair right by the window, allowing for fountain viewing. We also appreciate the bedside charging ports and the automatic curtains. The bathroom is equally as luxurious, with what I can only assume is Italian marble, a glass-enclosed shower, and premium bath products. Altogether, it's a refined, peaceful space that gives you a little oasis above the non-stop energy of the Strip. The real highlight, though, is the view. Floor-to-ceiling windows look directly over the fountains and the Strip, giving you the perfect vantage point to watch the famous water show. They even have a channel on the TV that plays the music from the fountain show, so you get the full impact of the show. After 8 p.m., the show is every 15 minutes until midnight, so we had the chance to see it from the street on our way back from dinner and from our room when we got back up for the night. Our trip began on a Thursday, and from what I can tell, weeknights at the Bellagio are significantly cheaper than weekends. For our room, we actually booked with points, and it was only 25,000 points for the Thursday night. The following Friday night would have been 85,000 points. In terms of actual money, the average range is from about $240 to $520 per night. If you can find a rate here on the lower end, it absolutely would be worth booking. Another benefit for staying at the Bellagio was that they have an on-site Avis rental counter, so the next morning we were able to pick up a rental car for our day off the Strip to visit the Hoover Dam. We will share more about that day in our next video, so subscribe to catch that one. But after our day out, we dropped off the rental car and checked into our next hotel, the Luxor. Nothing like going from one of the best resorts in Vegas to one of the most questionable. The Luxor is probably one of the most recognizable hotels in Las Vegas. You really can't miss it. It's the giant black pyramid shooting a beam of light into the sky. The Luxor opened in 1993 during the era when Vegas was going all in on over-the-top theming. At the time, it was one of the most ambitious hotels ever built on the Strip. The pyramid shape was a wild engineering challenge, and for a while, it actually was the tallest building on the Strip and the second largest hotel in the world. It has full-on ancient Egyptian theming. We're talking massive statues of pharaohs, replicas of the Great Sphinx, and when it opened, there was even a river ride that used to take guests through the hotel. Back then, it was all about transporting you to a different world. Over the years, though, the Luxor has toned down a lot of its original theming and fallen behind on a lot of the expected upkeep. It now has a dated but not quite vintage casino vibe. The Luxor stands in a row with two other highly themed hotels, the Excalibur and New York, New York, forming what kind of feels like the nostalgic theme park stretch of the Strip. You've got ancient Egypt at the Luxor, medieval castles at Excalibur, and a mini Manhattan skyline complete with a roller coaster at New York, New York. Back in the 90s and early 2000s, this section was all about immersive, over-the-top theming. Each hotel tried to outdo the next with design, props, and giant replicas. And while some of that charm has faded over the years as the interiors were modernized, it's still one of the most eye-catching stretches of the Las Vegas Boulevard. We checked in pretty late after having spent most of the day off the Strip, so we dropped our bags and went down for dinner. Unfortunately, this was where we started having one disappointment after another. We tried to get a table at the Mexican-style restaurant, and we were turned away, even though there was about 30 minutes left of service according to the hours on their website. So instead, we ended up at Public House, and although the service there was very good, the food was mediocre at best. There's also a food court here open 24/7, so maybe we would have been better off there. On our way back to our room, we got to experience the elevators, or actually, they're called inclinators, because they don't go straight up and down like normal elevators. Since the building is shaped like a giant pyramid, the elevators move diagonally at a 39-degree angle, following the slope of the side of the structure. It's a little disorienting at first, especially because the elevators themselves are showing quite a bit of wear and tear. I guess even though they're slow, a little creaky, and definitely not high-tech, it's all part of the experience. And even though the Luxor is a Marriott hotel, we did not receive any kind of upgraded room. Honestly, I'm not sure if there are any upgraded view rooms or if they're just larger suites, but by all accounts, most of the rooms in the pyramids are starting to show their age. Our room had a king-size bed, which was reasonably comfortable, with a seating area positioned under the angled windows, another reminder of the pyramid shape of the building. The bathroom was about what you'd expect from, say, like a 1990s Courtyard Marriott. And as if to add to the dated theming, the hotel TV interface was one of the most ancient things we have ever encountered. The next morning, we planned to explore the hotel a little bit more. They have a few exhibits here, including the Bodies exhibit and the Titanic Museum. But these were both priced pretty high, and they raised some ethical concerns for us, like the salvaging of Titanic artifacts from what is essentially a gravesite, and the Bodies exhibit has kind of an unclear origin of where the bodies are, with ethical implications of whether or not they received consent to be displayed. So we decided to check out and just head to our next hotel. Our room at the Luxor was $174 with tax and resort fees. The price does range wildly though. I've seen nights with a base rate of as low as $31. And with all of the other options in Vegas, I would say that even at such a low price point, the Luxor should fall pretty low on your list of possible options. For the third night, we checked into the Flamingo Hotel. The Flamingo is one of the most legendary hotels in Las Vegas, and also one of the oldest. It first opened its doors in 1946, making it the oldest resort still operating on the Strip today. But what makes the Flamingo famous isn't just its age, it's the story behind it. The hotel was originally developed by mobster Bugsy Siegel, who wanted to bring a touch of Hollywood glam to the desert. He poured millions of dollars into the project, hoping to create a sleek, stylish escape for celebrities and high rollers. But the opening didn't go as planned. It was rushed, over budget, and almost a disaster at first. Siegel was also murdered a few months later, and rumors have swirled ever since about mafia ties, betrayal, and missing money. Despite the rocky start, the Flamingo bounced back and helped shape the future of Las Vegas as a resort and entertainment destination. Over the years, it has been renovated and modernized, but the neon pink, palm trees, and vintage charm are definitely still there. In honor of Bugsy, the hotel has a Bugsy bar and a Bugsy and Myers stay couch, which we unfortunately didn't get the chance to try. There's also Havana 1957, a Cuban-themed restaurant serving lunch and dinner, with the next door coffee house offering coffee and breakfast. The coffee was strong and the pastry was sweet and flaky. The Flamingo also has a food court, which is open 24 hours a day. We stopped by here at the end of a long night out and got a slice of pizza and a hot dog. I don't know if it was the drinks or the Vegas spirit, but it was a pretty decent meal. For lunch, we had reservations at Gordon Ramsay Burger, which opened just a few months before we visited, and reportedly, Mr. Ramsay himself has stopped by at least 4 times since the opening. He was, however, not there the day that we were, but the meal was absolutely delicious. I expected it to be one of those situations where it's an overhyped because of a celebrity chef and the food is just so-so, but it was totally worth the hype. We are going to make a more in-depth video about all the food that we tried while we were there, so look out for that to come soon. The Flamingo also has a cake vending machine. Yep, that's right, a vending machine for cake, offering up the famous flavors of Buddy Valestro, aka the Cake Boss. It's allegedly delivered every day, and we'd heard some mixed reviews on social media about the cake itself, but we thought it was pretty good. I mean, good for vending machine cake at least. One of the most unique features of the Flamingo is, though, that they actually have real flamingos on site. There's a small wildlife habitat with palm trees, koi ponds, waterfalls, and a group of pink flamingos just casually hanging out. It is free to walk through, and while it's not a huge space, it's a peaceful little break from the noise and crowds of the Strip. The hotel also has a direct walkway to the Link Promenade, which makes it super easy to explore some nearby shops and restaurants and bars without having to cross the traffic of Las Vegas Boulevard. At the end of the promenade is the High Roller, a giant observation wheel that gives you panoramic views of the Strip and beyond. We took a ride up to the top at around midnight and we got to see the city lit up from above. The room we booked at the Flamingo was a basic king. They emailed us a few days before and offered us an upgraded room for $3, so that seemed like a pretty easy sale. The upgrade was just a room with a better view. It was still a standard king. But the bed was comfortable and the decor and artwork was themed perfectly for the Flamingo, and there was also a couch and chair by the window here. The bathroom was pretty standard for hotels, nothing special to write home about, but it was clean and modern, so an improvement over our last stay for sure. And the $3 upgrade was worth every penny. We got a partial view of the Spear and a view of the High Roller, and the best of all was the view of the flamingos. Our room at the Flamingo was $264 before our $3 upgrade, but that does include the taxes and resort fees. The range seems to be about $150 to $350 for a standard king room, depending on the day of the week and time of the year that you're booking. We really liked the Flamingo. This was probably the resort that we spent the most time and tried more of the on-site restaurants than any of the other resorts. So overall, this night stay was a very good turnaround from the night before. For our last night in Vegas, we booked a room at the Venetian, and undoubtedly we did save the best for last. The Venetian opened in 1999, built on the site of the legendary Sands Hotel, one of the original hotels on the Strip that hosted Frank Sinatra and the rest of the Rat Pack back in the day. The Sands came down in the mid-90s, and its place, Las Vegas, got a massive Italian-inspired resort that went all in on the theme. And the theming is not subtle. There's a replica of the Rialto Bridge and a full-sized Campanelli Tower. Indoor, there are canals with singing gondoliers, painted skies on the ceiling. It's over the top in every direction, and that's kind of the point. But it's a different type of over the top from the Luxor. It's immersive, but not campy. It's kind of hard to explain, but it's sort of like the difference between riding Expedition Everest at Disney and the Jungle Cruise. One fully transports you into another world, and the other is just a little silly, and I think that's part of the charm. The whole reason for our trip to Vegas was to see the Backstreet Boys at the Sphere. So we lined up our stay at the Venetian for the night of our concert tickets, because the Venetian and the Sphere in Las Vegas are actually connected by a pedestrian bridge and walkway. This is one of the easiest ways to get there from the Strip, especially in the summer when walking outside feels like standing in an open oven. But that's Vegas in July, I guess. The Venetian also has numerous restaurants and, of course, way too many to try and experience in one night. But we settled for brunch at Bouchon, a French bistro by celebrity chef Thomas Keller. It's not flashy, but it's easily one of the best meals that you can get on property. Honestly, it was at the top of all the meals that we got for the whole trip. Known for their fresh seafood and their seafood tower, the Plateau de Fruits de Mer, it typically features a mix of oysters, shrimp, mussels, clams, and sometimes lobster, depending on what's fresh. We went with the special for the day, including the steak hash and a sticky bun, and the menu classic, the croque monsieur. We also stopped by the Bouchon Bakery for some overly fancy, deliciously sweet French pastries. We had planned to try dinner at one of the restaurants before the show, but we're both nearing our 40s and had pretty much run ourselves ragged, so we opted for in-room dining for the evening. And speaking of which, our room at the Venetian was definitely the biggest of all 4 rooms that we stayed in. All of the rooms here are suites and higher, meaning that it has an upper bedroom area, a lower living room area, and dining table. The bathroom was also as big as some cruise ship cabins and had a marble bathtub, walk-in shower, and a whole separate toilet room. We also lucked out and had a view of the Sphere, which made it even better with the remote-controlled curtains. Sometimes it's the little things. For our room at the Venetian, we paid $225, even less than the night at the Flamingo, but it was also a Sunday night, which does seem to make a big impact on the price of the room. They range from about $200 to $500 to $600 per night. So for 4 nights in Vegas, we stayed at 4 very different hotels. We picked these because they each represent a different flavor of Vegas: luxury, themed, historic, and immersive. And honestly, it was wild how different they all were. Different price points, different vibes, different expectations. We didn't rank them from best to worst, but we did look at what each hotel offers and what it's supposed to be. And yeah, some met the mark and others didn't. Take the Luxor. Even though it's more affordable, we still feel like it deserves better upkeep. It's a giant pyramid with diagonal elevators. It should feel cool, but instead it feels neglected. And then we've got the Bellagio. The fountain view room was beautiful. The bed was comfy, and the bathroom was marble luxury. The vibe was polished, but not stuffy. At the Flamingo, we got a mix of old Vegas charm with modern updates. It's got actual flamingos in the courtyard and a connection to the Link Promenade, and a surprising number of food options. And finally, the Venetian, where subtlety goes to die, but in the best way possible. It's all painted skies, singing gondoliers, and recreations of iconic Venice landmarks. From restaurants and room views to price points and people watching, each of these hotels gave us a different lens on what Vegas could be. Whether you're looking for glam, nostalgia, a themed experience, or just somewhere to crash between casino runs and late night eats, Vegas has definitely got the hotel for you. In our next video, we're going to step off the Strip and discover what lies beyond the neon lights of Sin City and visit the place that's responsible for the city itself, the Hoover Dam. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. We are traveling all over the US and sometimes even the world. And if you leave us a like on this video, I just might be able to convince Jeremy to do more insane things like stay at 4 different hotels in 4 nights.